Several years ago, while working as a surgeon in a public hospital in Fiji, we had cases after cases of a problem that eventually became a starter for me on a journey that involved a lot of exploring. I wanted to find solutions to this problem. Every day, when I would walk into the surgical wards, most of the beds would be filled by diabetic patients who have rotten limbs, rotten feet, rotten legs, sometimes even rotten whole limbs. And it's quite a smelly affair, because when you lift up the bandage on one of these rotten diabetic limbs, it's like sticking your nose into a hole in the septic tank. The stench is quite overwhelming, to say the least. And imagine a whole ward full of this, 2 wards, 3 wards. Situation would be really, extremely bad. Infection widespread all over the body. That death would happen if we don't do anything. We do not amputate. And I would come with a piece of paper to try and get these patients to sign, to agree to the fact that I'm going to cut, but there would be only 2 options. And in a few minutes, I would have to present these 2 options. You either save your rotten limb and lose the life, or save your life and lose the limb. Now, I don't think any one of us sitting here would want to be in that kind of situation. And in Fiji, 1 diabetic amputation happens every 12 hours. That's 2 in a day, more than 700 a year. Disabilities due to diabetes, and it seems to me that it felt like we are competing on who's going to produce the most number of disabilities in the world. And we are a small population of only 900,000. That rate is too much. I couldn't turn my back away from that. Now, I also was fully aware of the fact that this is not the only health problem there is in Fiji. We have so many cases of hypertension, uncontrolled hypertension, stroke, cardiac diseases, mental illnesses, the many forms of cancer and all its complications. We have injuries that result out of violent behavior. We have injuries because of road traffic accidents that are due to road rage and drink and driving. All of this under this big umbrella of non-communicable diseases. Most of the time we refer to them as lifestyle diseases. And it became quite overwhelming for me. At first I thought, okay, Jone, you might as well just go back to this corner of surgery and just quietly do your work and, go home. But within me I felt, no. I have to do this. My own people are getting amputated at the age of 30 to 40. At an age where they are supposed to be very productive and be useful to this country. This can't go on. I must do something. And I couldn't turn my back away from this. Now, my colleagues did not turn their back away from this. Diabetic surgery is dirty surgery, like we used to call it. We joke about it amongst ourselves that we are like surgeons working in septic tanks, and no one aspires to be a surgeon working in a septic tank. We, as medical students, as budding surgeons, we wanted to be neurosurgeons, pediatric surgeons, and neurologists and all those. No one wants to do this dirty job. So I told myself I'm going to have to do something about this. I want to prevent people from reaching this hospital because there are no options. And if I can even prevent them from getting diabetes, I'll be the happiest man on earth. And so I started this journey. Several years later, here I am trying to share with you what I've just found. Now, as a surgeon, I've learned that there were two important things that helped me along this journey as well, and I learned it in surgery. One is to trust the fundamental principles in things. Fundamental principles is very important. Secondly, is that when problems are overwhelming, when the difficulty is you just can't bear it, it's just to take a step back, and there is always a simple solution right there in our faces. And it needs taking a step back, drawing from the fundamental principles, and then lo and behold, usually, it just spreads out and the problem is solved. So these are the two basic things that helped me along my journey. So what are these fundamental principles, the basics, the simple things? We are a total being. We are a wholesome being. We are made up of a physical, this infrastructure, this muscle, this bone, this thick skull, these organs, physical being. And then we have a mental being. The infrastructure part of it is the brain. The other being part of it is the mind, the memory, the conceptualizing ideas part, and the emotions that come with the mind. And then we have a spiritual being. The infrastructure part of it has not been understood, but we know it is there. There is a spiritual being. And these three beings, every day as we live our normal lives, are exposed to our surroundings, the factors. We are interacting with each other. We are under the influence of elements of the environment, plants, animals, viruses, bacteria, fungus, and so on. We are exposed to technology and the changing technology with time. We are exposed to economic problems and factors and issues that affect these whole three beings. But we are a natural being. And because we are a natural being, the way we function is under the rule of nature. The way we function is under the rule of nature. And nature says that everything has an order. There is a 1, 2, 3, 4. And when everything is in order, then everything works in perfect balance. When everything is in order, everything works in perfect balance. We like to disturb that order, and we continuously will have to face the consequences of the unbalances that come with it. Now, every day when we are faced with these environmental factors, what happens is I get exposed to something I see, I taste, I feel, and then my mind starts to try and process this, to remember this, to try and conceptualize, to try and make decisions. But while it's still doing that, our spirit speaks first and responds. Our inner being, our deeper conscience responds first. The natural instincts that come first. The mind gets that, and then the mind makes decisions, whether it will follow the spirit or just follow what it wants because of the experiences, the memory that is already stored within. The body, what it does is reacts to what the mind does. So that's the order. Spirit, mind, body. Spirit, mind, body. And also, every day, there would be circumstances that are quite sudden and intense. So intense that it suddenly just causes a total unbalance in our inner being. What nature does is it also reacts with it. Now, what is this system that we have inside? It's the stress system. And when we have these sudden stresses in our lives, nature also responds at the same time. And when it does, it turns off the unnecessary functions of our bodies and then just focuses all the energy on the necessary, the vital organs, so that we respond quicker to these stresses because they are so intense, and once the stresses go away, the response goes back to normal and everything goes back to perfect balance. Now, when this stress system is activated, a hormone is produced in the body called cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone, and what it does, it actually tries to reverse and brings back things to normal, shutting down things, just allowing the vital organs to move on and deal with the stress. Now, in this day and era we live in, how many sudden, intense, stressful events are we going through? How many of us are going with emotional stresses, mental stresses, physical stresses, the commitments to assignments, the commitment to work, we have to perform, and then we have these emotional baggages that we carry with us because of, and it's repeated, and it goes through the day, yes, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Imagine the amount of cortisol that is there. And when that happens, the body continuously just produces cortisol because it's continuously under a very stressful environment. Now, the part of these beings that are unbalanced so much because we do not physically exercise or don't eat healthy, the part of that physical being will manifest the unbalance. Either it will manifest itself physically through these diseases, diabetes, hypertension, cancer, or mental illnesses through unusual behavior. Spiritually, does it get affected? Yes. Some of us are spiritually dead. We do not have those instincts anymore. So, when I found this out, I thought to myself, okay, then obviously there's nothing I can do about this. And then I stepped back again, and I told myself, no, the answer could be just here. It's simple. And nature tells me that there's a counter, always, trying to bring things back to balance. And so I told myself, yes, if cortisol is produced because of a stressful situation, then something else could be produced in the body that counters cortisol. Our spiritual being, when we do an act of kindness because of our inner consciousness, it produces happy hormones. Oxytocin, the love hormone, the hormone that is produced when a mother gives birth to a child. That love, that makes a mother forget all the pain of the last 9 months and that labor moments. Serotonin, happy hormone, the addictive hormone that makes me want to keep on doing the same thing because it's rewarding me. Dopamine, the hormone that we surgeons know that helps us with healing when we want to close wounds and we want it to recover better. Dopamine. And all of these have the power to reverse cortisol. Imagine that. And reverse the whole damages that cortisol have done. And not only that, it puts me in a state of prevention. We always hear that term, prevention is better than cure. What these hormones are doing are curing and doing prevention at the same time. Now, no medicine can do that. Antibiotics and immunizations at the same time. That's wonderful. Yes? But why isn't this happening? Why aren't we able to do acts of kindness? Simple, and these are simple days, activities of the day. We do not have to go running around searching for extraordinary moments that will, get me pictured on national TV. I did an extraordinary act of kindness. These are simple things that you do at home, at school, at work. Nobody else knows, only my inner conscious is telling me. That's when these hormones get fired up. And when it gets fired up, I become cured. I heal. I'm happy. I love. And I want to do it more because it's addictive. Serotonin is an addictive hormone. Imagine that. Now, I ask myself again, now why is it that this is not happening? If it's that simple. Because the spiritual being, because it has been dead for a while, it's like a muscle not exercised. I try and flex and I can get anything out of it. It shrinks. Muscle, when you exercise, it then grows. And you exercise some more and continues to grow. So I told myself, I'm going to search for something that can wake this muscle up, and not only that, allow me to continue doing these acts of kindness, because I'll be healing and curing and be happy. I searched and I found heartfulness meditation. It's meditation that focuses on the heart, on the spirit, on the inner being, on the inner consciousness. And what meditation does is two things. One, it relieves me of the mental stresses and emotional stresses that I go through every day, because it relaxes the mind. And also at the same time, it allows me to tap into that sleeping muscle and flex that spiritual muscle. And I'll be able to do a lot more good things. And when I do that, I heal and I prevent stresses from affecting me. One practice, one stone, two birds. That's amazing. Just sitting down, closing your eyes, focusing on the heart, allows me to wake up that muscle. And when I do that, I get myself in natural order. And when I get myself in natural order, I get myself to perfect balance, natural balance. Do I have to forget about physical activity? Do I have to forget about eating healthy? Do I have to forget about taking medications? Of course not. When my spirit is right, when I'm driven by my spirit, then I am actually physically exercising, because I'm doing an act of kindness on myself. When I'm eating healthy, it's not because somebody is telling me, it's because I'm doing an act of kindness on myself. And when I'm taking medications, it's because I have gone down the unbalanced route for a long time. I'm doing it to myself to bring me back to balance. Get the natural order. Bring yourself to balance. One practice does these many things. Heartfulness meditation. I invite you to try it. Thank you.